History remembers great names, but the anguish of the human hidden behind those names is often forgotten. The great master of the Italian Renaissance, Leonardo da Vinci. Before his name, the modifier genius always follows. But he was not simply a painter holding a brush. In his mind were vast machines and buildings that transcended his era, and dreams of flying in the sky. He was perhaps a man who lived hundreds of years ahead of his time. But his dazzling visions sometimes collided with the walls of reality. He had to feel deep frustration amidst the technological limitations of his era, and the lack of understanding from people. His life was a great drama, and at the same time, the record of an endlessly anguished soul. He saw everything in the world, yet lived a paradoxical life, in which the world could not truly understand him. Today, through the life of Leonardo da Vinci, we will try to follow the traces of his deep struggle, to see how we can bridge the gap between the future we dream of and the reality we face. At this very moment, please listen quietly. In 1452, Leonardo was born in the small village of Vinci near Florence. His genius stood out from childhood. But his interest did not remain merely in painting. He wanted to know all the principles of the world, such as why birds could fly in the sky, why water swirled, and how the human heart beat. To his eyes, the world was a vast puzzle, and to solve it he explored not only painting, but also engineering, anatomy, physics, and many other fields. His notebooks were filled with sketches of inventions beyond imagination. From designs resembling modern diving suits, to cannons powered by steam, to automatic mechanical lions, and to complex hydraulic systems. But at that time, he was recognized only as an artisan or a painter. His innovative inventions were often dismissed as the ideas of a fanciful dreamer with no practicality. In a letter to Ludovico Sforza, the Duke of Milan, he introduced himself as an excellent painter and sculptor, while emphasizing that he could also design military equipment, such as weapons to destroy fortresses, steel armor, and cannons. But most of his innovative designs were difficult to realize with the technology of the time. The Great Bronze Equestrian Statue project also remained only as a model, due to technical difficulties and the circumstances of the era. The metallurgy and power sources of the time were far too insufficient to realize his ideas. In the end, his many inventions remained only as sketches and never saw the light of day. Caught between his extraordinary vision and the limitations of contemporary technology, he had to taste deep frustration. He confessed, "I have seen far into the future, but no one understood my language." People admired him as a genius, But he began to feel deep loneliness in the vast gap between his vision and reality. Despite repeated failures and frustrations, Leonardo did not give up. He instead found a way to sublimate his frustration into art. He began to express in painting the visions and deep insights that could not be realized in reality. He said, "Painting is science that can be seen with the eyes. At the end of all knowledge, there is painting." His masterpiece The Last Supper was not a mere painting. It was the result of psychological research, visually capturing the various reactions of the people around the central figure breaking bread. The arrangement and expressions of the figures in the painting were his meticulous design, intended to convey human subtle emotions most effectively. In addition, the perfect perspective and use of light in the painting showed his scientific understanding, which infused depth and tension into the space. Mona Lisa was a masterpiece beyond a woman's portrait. He depicted subtle expressions and delicate muscular movements based on his anatomical knowledge of the human body. The sfumato technique, which blurred the boundary of the smile, was not a mere technique but a great method born of his perfect understanding of the interaction between light and shadow, and his ability to capture it on canvas. The hazy landscape in the background was not just scenery, but the result of his deep understanding of optics, geology, and atmospheric science. His art was the product of science, and his science was a vessel containing the inspiration of art. His art and science were perfect tools for each other. The turning point of his life was when he turned away from pursuing the impossible, acknowledged his own limitations, and began to express those limitations through the new language of art. Among his many inventions, the one that occupied the greatest weight was the flying machine. Instead of the idea of flying in the sky with heavy metal, he sought answers in nature. He observed and recorded countless times the flapping of birds' wings and the flow of air. His notebooks were filled with precise sketches of the anatomical structure of birds, the movement of wings, and the principles of flight. He even studied the wing structure of bats and the aerodynamics of insects, seeking to decipher every element of nature. He said, "Great truths are not in grandeur. They lie hidden in the simplest principles of nature." Instead of designing complex structures, he sought answers in imitating the simple principles of nature. He conceived ideas that transcended his time. From the ornithopter, a flying device powered only by human strength, to the aerial screw, embodying the principle of the helicopter, and even designs similar to today's parachute. All these ideas stemmed from his obsession with deeply understanding the laws of nature. He devoted his entire life only to inquiry and recording, filling his life with a journey of searching for truth. He said, "Nature is the best teacher, and understanding the laws of nature is true knowledge." However, his profound research caused great confusion to those around him. His patrons demanded paintings or sculptures that could be completed immediately. But Leonardo devoted himself to seeking invisible truths. The Duke of Milan commissioned him to create a giant equestrian statue. But he spent more than 10 years only on research and conception. In the end, the equestrian statue remained only as a clay model. People called him a great dreamer, criticizing his unfinished works and unpredictable research methods. Even the Battle of Anghiari mural he took on in Florence remained unfinished, as he devoted himself for a long time only to exploration. He often postponed the completion of works, instead spending more time observing human anatomy or the growth of plants. In his diary he wrote, "I thought and recorded endlessly, but nothing could be translated into the language of the world." His conflict was not so much a direct clash with those around him, but rather a lonely struggle with the world that could not understand his mental orientation. Even so, he never let go of his brush, nor did he stop recording. His life was courage itself, advancing toward his own truth without being swayed by others' evaluations. He believed that even if his era could not understand him, someone in the future would find a new path through his records. Perhaps life is not about being perfectly understood, but about a struggle to preserve oneself even in endless solitude. In 1516, at the age of 64, Leonardo headed to France at the invitation of Francis I. His last journey was not to complete new works. He spent the rest of his life at the Château du Clos with his longtime disciple Francesco Melzi. He now focused not on realizing his ideas in reality, but on passing them on to future generations. In May 1519, he closed his eyes peacefully, in the arms of his beloved disciple. It is said that, before his death, he said, "I only sowed seeds. I hope someday someone will make them sprout." What he left us was not merely beautiful paintings or mysterious inventions. He left us profound philosophy. His many notebooks became a great legacy for the next generation. His flying machine designs became the foundation of 20th-century aeronautical engineering. And his anatomical studies had a great impact on the development of modern medicine. His meticulous records and ceaseless questions became the greatest blueprint for the progress of human civilization. He said, "The future is created by the actions of today." Those who dream of the future must faithfully record the present. He did not remain merely as a great artist. As a human being, not bound by his own time. He remained as a great pioneer who sowed seeds for the next generations. As we walk the path of life, we come to realize that sometimes direction matters more than speed, and that sowing seeds is more important than producing results. Leonardo da Vinci says, "The greatest learning begins from knowing how much I do not know." A true seeker is not a special person, but one who constantly asks questions of oneself. What do I know? What do I not know? Now how far have you explored your life?